Okay, Tina, let's rock and roll. Move over to business and branding segment here today. And I want to talk about balancing growth and authenticity. We talked today about leveling up your life, tips from an entrepreneur. And Tina, in the world of business, it's easy to focus solely on growth. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta grow. Gotta go, gotta grow. Gotta grow, gotta go. It's just constant, right? Gotta grow. But then sometimes, Tina, we may lose our authenticity along that path, which might lead to burnout. Jay talked about that, right? He just went hard constantly because he had to grow, right? Some might lose your brand identity. Some might ultimately disconnect from the audience by just focusing ultimately on growth and the bottom line. You're an expert in branding. You're an expert in, you've started a business, you've had your troubles in business, you've had your journey in business. How do you help businesses balance these two crucial aspects of growth versus growing authentically? Oh, I think I lost your audio, Tina. There you go.
We got it. My dog was barking in the back. I had to shut that shit down.
Oh, so if it was during the pandemic, people be like, Tina, that's not professional. You should not be having your dog on the show here because that's not professional, Christina.
Or if a baby cried in the background, oh my God, you would feel so much embarrassment. Now my kids will just come in the room while I'm in meetings and I'll be like, listen, it's just my life, fam.
I hope
I'm authentically. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to be ashamed. If I can help our audio and our post-production by not having my goddamn dog barking in the background, I'm going to try.
There you go.
I can only do my best. But for me, I think so many people, especially those that I work with that are later in their career, they're transitioning, whether they're trying to find a new industry, they're trying to find a new role for themselves. They want to be thought leaders. They want to build a brand. They want to be on paid boards, whatever it is. They've spent a lot of time in the corporate world. And many of them in doing so, they think they have a mission. But what often tends to be the case is that they've taken on the company mission and vision as their own. And that's very common in the work that I do. So the first place that I start with folks is say, all right, who are you? What is the authentic you versus what they think is the authentic them? And that's really where we start all of this, because otherwise you're not going to be one. I don't believe in balance. Like it's not a balance of, growing authentically and just growing in general. I don't think balance exists. It's a blend. And so the blend and the goal to get to the blend is, all right, who are you first? What are you working towards? What are your goals? What's your story that led you to this moment? What are the connection points that you probably can't even see yourself? And then we'll start on the other things. But if you don't know who you are authentically, it doesn't matter how many fucking times you use the word, you're not actually going to be able to show up as that person.
In your experience working with the leaders you work with, are more and more businesses opening up to this idea of bringing your true self to work and being authentic and growing not only yourself as a human, but growing along with the company so that they aren't mutually exclusive?
I think that a lot of companies are saying that they are, and I don't think the reality is showing it. A lot of the people that I'm working with, when they're coming out of the corporate world, they're in a bad way. They have given a lot of themselves for decades, many of them. Some of them have left by choice. Some of them haven't been left by choice, but regardless, or some of them got kicked out, quite frankly. They were fired or they were packaged out. And they're in this position where they've given a lot of themselves to an organization and to a career that now they're seeing on the other end of it didn't really give a shit about them and didn't really give a lot back to them. So there's a mindset that needs to happen and to occur in that moment. But I do see a lot of companies talking about it. I'm not in the corporate world, so I can't speak to it. But from my own experience with clients, I think a lot of it is talk and it's not necessarily reality.
So when we talk about leveling up life, and we talk about a CEO or a business leader who wants to grow the business, is head down growing the business, you're talking about growing the business at that point in your head and all your daily activities. Are you actually sacrificing what's behind the business, which is you? Or can one do both? So what I mean by that is that as I was growing ICUC, I built the business and the brand on the backs of my personal brand to start that baby off. It was Keith, because nobody knew what an ICUC was. Nobody knew what the business was. So it was me. But then over time, that translated from me going away and the business coming forth. And then then the business kept growing. I was focused on growing the business. My personal brand identity largely went away. I woke up one day separate from the whole thing, in many ways, maybe lost my identity. So I'm wondering if there are other business leaders, other CEOs that are growing their company, that they wake up one day in their 20s, 30s, 40s. You might have even alluded to it, Christina, going, oh, I've just put the last 5, 10 years of my life, my personal brand into company ABC over there. I want to try to do something else, do something new. I haven't taken any time to grow myself. Do you follow me?
Yeah. And it's why I talk about a couple of things. One, that I think personal brand is really just a way to execute against personal growth. And to me, they exist completely together. If you want to build a really strong personal brand, you have to be willing to do the personal development. You have to be willing to do the personal growth. To me, they have to exist together. And the reason for that is because, one, you want to make sure that you're pushing that brand in the direction that is authentic to you and that suits you and the life you ultimately want to live. But two, exactly what you're saying, because I've done this before. When I was in Web3 and NFTs, I had a digital agency and I built my brand around this industry on one particular platform where the industry lived, market that I didn't control. And all of a sudden, when all of that went away, I realized that 2.5 my brand in this industry, I could not transfer that to my next thing, because nobody really knew who I was. It wasn't about me. It was about the market and the industry and my agency. So all of a sudden, 2.5 years, and I think I figured it out because I've got this like personal brand on X, and I'm like, it went away. And that's why I took a step back to reflect and say, if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to do it based on me. Because ADHD, I'm not doing anything for 10 years, any one thing for 10 years. I'm going to do a lot of things in my life. And I want to have a foundational brand that goes with me versus I need to start over again every time I build a new corporation, every time I engage in a new passion or activity. That's why the benefit is taking the step back first, figuring out who the fuck you are, and then identifying how do you build this brand that's more aligned with you, with the opportunity to talk about the things you're doing, but not have that brand focus entirely on those things.
We get some interesting comments from Cosmic Vision coming up here and with some lighthearted humor here, because lighthearted humor, we know Cosmic's a regular viewer of the show, Christina. Cosmic comes in and says, your true self, Christina, is that Regina George voice in your head, which is what we were laughing about yesterday on the show. But then Cosmic's next couple comments I think are really meaningful, which is this whole idea of don't forget who we are or where we came from, merge yourself with all of yourselves in order to get the best version. Certainly a lot of value in that statement. And then what I like Cosmic says next is like the ego. We don't want the death of the ego. We need to merge the ego. I'm adding the last word there to that. It's just this whole idea of you can probably have both, but you have to have it with intention.
And I think the comment about Regina George is like statement on that's what I've named the voice in my head, because she's a bitch and she's a real mean girl. But I'm actually I'll disagree with you respectfully, Cosmic Vision, because I don't think that is your true self. My true self is not that voice in my head. That is my nervous system. That is my brain trying to warn me that something is not safe, that something is potentially risky. But that's not always in my best interest as an entrepreneur. It's trying to keep things easy. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're trying to build your personal brand, it's not easy. It's really uncomfortable. And listening to that voice, listening to Regina tell me that's like the ugliest fucking shirt she's ever seen in her life, is not going to help me. I need to learn that she's there, and I need to acknowledge that she's there and to say, thanks so much. I see what you're trying to do, but you're not actually helping me right now. I need to do the things that are hard. I need to do the things that are uncomfortable if I'm going to grow.
Good advice. And Cosmic comes in with very true, Christina. What a great segment. You know what? It's a great place to end this segment off here. Business and branding with Keith and Christina. And the question we asked ourselves was, we're talking today about leveling up as an entrepreneur. And the reality is in business, growth and authenticity, they aren't mutually exclusive. I know when we get into our systems and our routines and our habits, we sometimes put the blinders on and we go. I like how Christina has acknowledged the awareness of there's another voice over here though. And this voice, it's an authentic voice for me. I got a voice over here too that I battle with and she pulls it out there, but it allows her to grow authentically while at the same time she's growing personally. So they're not mutually exclusive.
And it's hard. That's why you got to grow, Pernay.
Yes.
The person you were when you started ICU is not the person you were when you sold it. It
Yes.
requires a ton of self-awareness and a ton of personal development to figure out who you are, what you're doing, why you do the things that you do, what are the stories that you're telling yourself that are hurting you, what are the stories you're telling yourself that are helping you, and really uncover and unbox like those identities that we hold in order to be successful.
Yes. Listen, cliche. We talked about leveling up here, and I'm going to leave you guys with this as we wrap up the show. And Cosmic, I appreciate your comments. Always love having you on the show here. Cosmic, I'm wondering what part of the planet you're from, because I got to crack a joke with you, but you tend to join the show a little later. So I'm wondering whether you're on the Pacific coast there. But true growth comes when you stay true to who you are, while evolving and scaling your impact. And as Christina said, I was one leader in my late 30s starting ICUC. I'm a different leader today, and I've evolved. And I'd like to think that I've scaled my impact as I've evolved. Listen, no month is around the corner. It's like literally just over there. I can see it into next week. And I'm inviting you guys to think about the fact that I know you have some big audacious goals. Maybe you want to grow. Maybe you want to try to be more authentic with yourself. But to do that, you're going to have to say no to a lot of things in order to hit that one yes. So we put this little idea on the table, this little concept, this month that's coming, we can't get away from. It's called November. Think about what you can say no to next month so you can say yes to something the next day, the next month, the next year. Because, oh yeah, December and January 2025 is around the corner. So November is around the corner. Cosmic, Fresno, California. Good to have you here, Fresno. Good to have you here, Cosmic, and good to see you on the show. And to everybody else that's tuned in today, Lauren, Mike McQuillan, Yoel Adams. Who else we got here? Tina?
We got Kika on the horizontal, or Keek. Who else we got here? We had Shelly earlier. We had Mike McQuillan. We got Real Deal Prime.
We got Mike Hawka talking about eating Sunday brunches and so forth. So Nation, we're going to get out of here. We got to go to work. I hope you guys got some work to do today too. Tomorrow's Thursday. We have another guest on the show. Tomorrow we have
Carl Grant the third.
Not the first, not the second,
no,
but third. Carl Grant the third. Of course, AJ Zeglin joining us here for Mind Fuel. As Johnny said, we talked today with Jory. Food is one thing, but your brain is another. There you go. Tina, Jimmy, Felix, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, Nation. Have an awesome day. Go and get it. Go and be that successful entrepreneur. See you guys. Have a good one. Ciao.